A few months ago, we took a look at a Pokemon Emerald cartridge that my sister originally received for her birthday back when the game was brand new. She wanted to play through the game from beginning to end once again and have the most authentic experience possible, and part of that was getting that sneaky battery change that in the Gen 2 and 3 games drains particularly quickly as a result of the clock system. After getting this battery changed, my sister started playing the game, and while everything seemed to be normal, it was when she tried to change boxes in her PC that she noticed there was a problem. Once any Pokemon were in her PC, if she tried to change to a different box, the game would hang. The music would continue playing, but otherwise it was soft lock, something she was sure was not happening prior to having the battery changed. We tried playing the game in different consoles, we tried cleaning the game better, we erased all data and played through it up to that point again just in case there was some sort of corrupted data that had happened, but nothing that we did was able to solve this problem. A little while after, a YouTube channel by the name of imod.systems was brought to my attention, and Corey, who runs this channel, has made all sorts of awesome videos fixing botched battery pairs. He's just done some really cool projects, and I thought that if there was anyone who would be able to hopefully figure out just what was going on here, he might be the guy. So I sent him an email, and he was very kind. He got back to me very quickly, and he said he'd be happy to take a look at it. So just like that, I was shipping Pokemon Emerald internationally, and this is what he found. So the first thing that Corey did was make sure that the problem I was explaining was replicable, because naturally, I don't blame him at all for doing this. I'm really happy that he did. The worst thing to do would be to send this cartridge out into the world and the person who receives it says, there's no problem at all, what the heck are you talking about? But no, he replicated it, and he even dumped the ROM to his PC and played through it on an emulator to that point. And the problem still persisted even in the dumped ROM. So he did a little bit more digging, and what he found from that was, in another case where someone had a similar problem, it was a broken trace on the board. So that became Corey's kind of first thing to look at in solving this issue. So after looking at all of the traces, Corey actually found that they all looked great. There were no broken traces as a result of either just the game being, handled over the years or from that battery change. So everything was kind of sounding good to that point, you'd think. But another thing that he then tried was he had an extra EEPROM chip, which he could then swap out off the board in case maybe that was what was causing the problem. Maybe that one particular chip, something had gone wrong with it. So he swapped another EEPROM chip onto the board, and even from that swap, it was still not working properly. So his next stage of attack after that was actually just to switch everything off of that board onto another board, so that if there was any chance there was something wrong with the board at all, swapping everything to this new board should then rectify the issue. But again, even with that swap, the problem still persisted. So at this point, it was pretty clear that it was not the board that was causing the issue. There wasn't a broken trace somewhere, nor had like a piece of solder ended up somewhere on the board that was causing a short. So just what on earth was going on? And then the next thing that Corey thought to do was, since he had already extracted that ROM, he compared that ROM's data to a known perfect dump of Pokemon Emerald that he had. And that was where he made a very grim discovery. 2 bytes of my sister's Pokemon Emerald cartridge's ROM had been corrupted compared to the original game's code. And those 2 bytes must somehow be related to the routine that handles the Pokemon boxes when there are Pokemon in them. And it is Corey's thought that this likely would have happened as a result of electrostatic discharge at the time of the battery being swapped. The person swapping that battery was not properly grounded. That ROM chip, which is actually located directly underneath where the battery rests, so it's right in that area, would have been very easy to touch and shock that if you weren't properly grounded. That changed 2 bytes within the game. It changed the game's code. My sister's copy of Pokemon Emerald is actually now personalized. You heard it here first. Every copy of Pokemon Emerald is personalized. Well, it is if you go get the battery changed, apparently. But that's what happened. The code in the game actually got changed, and that was what was resulting in this glitch. No amount of fixing up the board or doing anything could rectify this issue. If the ROM has been corrupted in this way, these ROMs are, as they are called, read-only memory. There is unfortunately no fixing this issue after it has happened, meaning that my sister's copy of Pokemon Emerald is unfortunately forever doomed to suffer this fate. But hold it! It was at that point that I remembered something from years ago, years and years, we're talking like a decade ago, that it wasn't even kept with my other Game Boy Advance games. This is like, 10 years ago, Pokemon games were not the hot commodity they are today. Back then, Pokemon games were like average $20-ish compared to the newer ones, which is what everyone had their focus on at the time. So somewhere along the way, it would have been at a garage sale, I think, I picked up this not so nice looking copy of Pokemon Emerald. That again, back when I picked it up, this wouldn't have been worth the plastic and metal that it consisted of. But today, despite its flaws, it is going to help save my sister's Pokemon Emerald. So I shipped this off to Corey, and what he was able to do with this is, even though this copy of Pokemon Emerald is unfortunately not looking so nice, he was able to take the ROM from this one, which is on not such a nice board, it looks like it probably had some water damage at some point, put it into my sister's copy of Pokemon Emerald, and now with that, her Pokemon Emerald works again. Unfortunately, it had to have that ROM swap though, but from the moment that electrostatic discharge happened, the fate was sealed that there was going to be a Pokemon Emerald cartridge that didn't work. So if any cartridge was going to work, Corey even mentioned that, my sister's board was so nice, like everything was so nice about it. It was so unfortunate that this incident happened. It made sense to take the ROM off the not so good board and make my sister's cartridge work once again. So there actually is a happy ending to this story after all, even though, again, it unfortunately means that one Emerald cartridge had to die so another could live. But that's how it is in the crazy world of Game Boy Advance Pokemon games, I suppose. But this really does raise a lot of interesting thoughts and questions, I think, about changing batteries inside of games. Of course, you have people like Corey who are super professional, really know what they're doing, would trust anything with him any day, and I cannot thank him enough for really what he did here and making it all work out. My sister's so happy. She's been playing through it again just like she wanted to, even though, it's a few months after she had planned to start on that. But just thank you, Corey. Thank you so much. imod.systems. It will be linked all over the place. His videos are so cool. Please go check him out. But again, the question that this raises is, say you're not dealing with Corey. Say you just do take it down to your local game shop like we had here. You don't know how professional that person is who's changing your battery. You don't know how much experience or training they have. This could so easily happen to any game that's having a battery change. And it's so common now, I find, to go into retro game stores and they think they're doing you a service where just any Pokemon game that they get in, whether it needs a battery change or not, they're going to change it because they figure that that's what the customer will want. But again, if someone's changing all these batteries, you don't know which one may have just had that electrostatic damage happen to it. And just like in this example here, it wasn't something that happened right when you turn the game on. In this case, it's something that you don't discover until later. This just shows that electrostatic damage can affect just one tiny portion of the game. So you don't know that maybe something happened during that battery change that you won't even run into until like way at the end. And it's very reminiscent of CD-based games where I think we're much more familiar with issues of this variety. There could be like a little scratch and that doesn't even pop up till you're 3/4 of the way through the game. So it's definitely something to have on your mind these days when you're buying a game that has had a battery change, or especially if you're taking your own game in to have its battery changed. Like if we went back to the store at this point and said, you changed this battery and you caused this one oddball issue happening when you change boxes, they will just laugh you out of the store. And with how expensive Pokemon games are getting these days, it's like, what guarantee is there that if a problem does pop up later on, like that you can get some kind of reimbursement for? Like, I don't know what the solution is here, other than just that you have to be really careful. And I guess there's a big question you have to ask now of if it is worth it to have a battery changed in a game, or if you want to buy a game that has had its battery changed. It's just very scary, and something that when we originally had this battery change, we were thinking we want to play Pokemon Emerald the way it was, not oh my god, is my game gonna get destroyed? But oh, the crazy things you gotta worry about when you're playing retro games in the modern age. But let me know what you think of all that. Again, thankfully, sister can now play Emerald as she wanted to, as it was intended to be played. It's a lot of a rigmarole to go through, considering the Gen 3 games are extremely playable even if the battery's dead, unlike the Gen 2 ones. So I think that knowing all of this now, she probably would have thought twice about getting that battery changed. But again, what do you think about all of it? Have you ever had a battery changed in a game? Did it go well? Did it lead to disaster? And once again, please check out Corey, who also I would like to add in at the end here. He did take the remaining elements of that not so nice looking Pokemon Emerald board that I sent him, and he actually took those, put them onto a new board, a new printed circuit board, which actually comes from HDR, and you can find a link to that down in the description below if you'd like to get some really nice printed circuit boards for yourself to do projects like this. But basically he transferred those elements onto this board, put it into a really nice clear plastic case, and now this acts as a really nice display piece. Or if anyone ever wants to play through Pokemon Emerald only using one box, never changing that box, this cartridge is good for that. But again, Corey, you are an amazing person, a hero for figuring this all out and for also doing all those swaps, and I wish you all the best in the future. I just cannot thank you enough for what you did for my sister and I, so we really, really appreciate that. And to all of you who watched this video, I hope that you enjoyed it and hope you'll go check out Corey right now. But with that, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, hope your Pokemon games don't have the same issue that this one did, and hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and see you later, everybody.